All right, it's been a little while. I apologize. Been away on a business trip, and then my son and I, who I took along on a business trip, we both got hit with the mung. Just took a couple days to get back from that. So I said I was going to take some time off, and I haven't had a chance, even though I've been away. It was really based on this business trip, and then the mung. But I found out my resting heart rate is between 80 and 90, which is not so good. So I'm scheduled for the doctors next week. Been able to drop it to like the mid 80s with a holistic approach. There's a lot of things I need to do. Dropping the gut too much of the pasta too. That's the first thing. 200 pounds at 5'8" at 50, I guess is not a hot to trot. So anyway, I apologize for not being really able to bring the coverage. I know some people say you don't have to apologize, but I believe if you commit to me, I commit to you, and at least I can tell you why. So what I want to do here is kind of set the foundation of what we got going forward. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I love the Dolphins, first off. I love football even more. And I despise Stephen Ross and Chris Greer. Now, I could be wrong. I got a video coming out after this that's going to show you exactly why, with loads of evidence, why I despise these people. But they're not the Dolphins to me. I've always said that the players, the staff, and as much as I like Flores, McDaniels is my guy now. And so I'm rooting for him and all these players and this staff. And so despite what I feel about the leadership, my job and hope is to evaluate them, and hopefully it ends up being a good evaluation and they have success. So I want to take a look at where Tua and McDaniel is at, and kind of give a clear image of what fans should expect, because there's a lot of hype. I saw one article, McDaniels is going to make the running game fun again, and Tua's finally, all this other stuff, a lot of hype. But fans need to be realistic. So I'm going to dig into some stuff, and I'm going to use a guy who I respect tremendously, which is Chan Gailey, who was the coordinator here when Tua was a rookie. Some people said he sucked, said he was trying to sabotage him. But the truth has come out that this is not true. Tua wasn't prepared, both physically. He didn't know the playbook, the terminology. He wasn't able to make adjustments, and he wasn't able to run Gailey's system. And obviously there were other issues going on behind the scenes for Tua not to have the success that he wanted. But Gailey also managed with what he had, 3 rookies on the offensive line, Tua coming in for most of the season, 10 games I think it was, to put out the 4th most points in the NFL that season, 16th in rushing attempts, yada, yada, yada. I think 6th in time of possession or something like that. Anyway, Chan Gailey and McDaniel are very similar in a lot of ways. And this is good news. And it's kind of why it's bad news Chan Gailey was pushed out, because he would have really helped Tua out. Now, there's a lot of people, Tua's going to be the greatest thing ever, and other people, Tua sucks. I don't believe this. I've been saying since the beginning, a run game is critical for Tua. Tua has skill sets that are high end. And if they're accentuated, he can be successful. Will that happen? We'll see. But this is good news, I think, both for McDaniel, who from the Shanahan system likes a mobile quarterback. And while Tua is not ultra mobile, he is still pretty mobile, especially between tackles, getting upfield and able to boot out. And this is going to help. Both these guys really have an opportunity here, but there's a lot of things that are going to go into it. So one thing that Gailey and McDaniel stressed, and you can go back and watch the videos of Gailey, which I think are always good, he's very informative, is flexibility to your players and to your opponent. Okay, so it's very similar to the way Flores viewed defense, where it's not a static look like what we had basically this year. In 2021, we had a very static offense. And a commitment to the run game. Both Gailey and McDaniel are very, very, very serious about the run game. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's not having a great running back. We'll get into that, but you probably know where I'm going to go anyway. So let's take a look at this first video.
Years and where's your I guess, offensive scheme at this point in your career?
There's two things. One thing, we try to stay balanced. I want to be a balanced offense. I want us to be able to run the football and throw the football effectively. That's really big in the way I see offensive football. And then the next thing is, to me, you adapt to the players that you have. You have to adjust your schemes and see who you have. And that sometimes is even on a week-by-week basis. And this year, that may be more important than ever, is to have a system in place that you can adjust to make the players that you have be successful. That's what I've always tried to be about, is putting them in position to be.
Okay, so you can see here that when Tua came in, you can see that when Tua came in 2020, the style of offense that Gailey tried to present. Now, Tua, he wasn't ready physically. He said it. There's video out there of Greer saying it. He wasn't ready. He didn't have time. He was actually came in like 3 or 4 weeks before he was supposed to do the full length of his recovery. And then he didn't understand the terminology. In order to have a flexible offense, you have to have command of the terminology, be able to get to the line of scrimmage, call your alerts, call your pre-snap reads, be able to diagnose, be able to call audibles and this he wasn't able to do. But even still, Gailey, with his style of offense, was able to get to a place where he could be semi-successful, even though he wasn't fully rehabbed and ready. And I think McDaniel is going to do the very same thing. But one thing Gailey had that McDaniel doesn't is Flowers and Karras. Now, when Flowers was here, he wasn't ultra elite, but he was a steadying influence and he was a good pass blocker. And Karras was pretty good. Okay, they went to the Patriots and a more run-centric. Karras went to the Patriots for more run-centric. That accentuated his skill set. Flowers went to the Washington football team, now the Commanders or whatever they're called, and that set his skill set. And they both had very successful seasons. So Greer is going to have to get McDaniel a little help on this offensive line. I know Eichenberg's been an addition, second round pick with a third round attachment, but that offensive line is going to be critical. So let's look at this tape.
Has your offense changed since 2016, 15 with the Jets, 2011, 12, 13 with the Bills, 2000 with the Dolphins?
Has it changed? The terminology is the same, but and some of the plays are the same, but I think it changed from Buffalo to New York because of personnel we had. And it's going to make another change because of the personnel we have here. So if you ask Fitz, is the terminology the same? He'd say yes. Are some of the thought processes the same? Yes. But we will be adjusting and adapting to what the type of personnel we have. So it may not look the same to John Q. Public, but there are some similarities, but there'll be things that are different because of the personnel that we have and how we're going to go about using them.
All right. So as Gailey said right here, and a lot of people don't understand. They're looking at San Fran and saying, this is what we're going to run here. But we're not. I mean, there's going to be elements. Obviously, the verbiage, the terms, that communication is going to stay the same. But there's going to be plenty of change. The players on the team are what's going to determine the bulk of the offense. So looking at what San Fran did is not going to be what we're going to do here to a T. Now, in some regards, there's going to be better opportunities for McDaniel to do things he wasn't able to do in San Fran. And in the same token, there was things in San Fran that they could do there that we're not going to be able to do here unless the personnel changes. So Tua is going to have to kind of go back to his rookie season and get that verbiage down. When he said he didn't feel comfortable making alerts and audibles and calls, this is going to be a critical thing. And we have to remember, as Gailey said here, Tua is on his 6th offensive coordinator in 6 seasons. That's a lot of change. And in the last 3 years, the verbiage has changed, the concepts have changed, the philosophies changed. Yeah, they put a lot of read option in here, and I'm sure they're going to have read option this season. But Tua has been in flux both physically and in turnover of offensive coordinators. And that kind of turmoil never really sets a quarterback up for success because stability is key. So it's going to take a little time. And for those who say, oh, Tua, he might not be smart enough or he wasn't working hard enough, we're going to find that out. Now, Brian Flores could have easily came out and said he wasn't a hard worker, but that's not what he said in one of his recent interviews. He was a hard worker. And we have to remember, for him to come in 2020 and to grasp that system, the new verbiage, the new lingo, having constant flexibility, turmoil, and Gailey said that, you gotta be on your game. And that's why Fitzpatrick had such a huge edge. Tua's he's had his time to set his feet. He's going to come in. He's going to have preseason camps. He's getting the verbiage down now. Now we're going to get a real chance to evaluate him. But that 2020 offense and this offense both bring very good stuff that Tua did not have in 2021. So there's a lot of hope here for fans of Tua, but it doesn't guarantee anything. So let's look at this next clip.
Play quarterback in the NFL.
There's really only X amount of plays in football. So what you're trying to do is teach him a new language. How quickly can he learn a new language and get to where he can speak it fluently rather than he's memorizing what something means? And so the biggest thing is to try to get him to put things in the past, terminology in the past, put it away, put it over to the side and grasp the new terminology. It's okay in your brain to say, well, that used to be called this, but now it's called this, and use that as a reference. That's a good thing, but not to get it where it's clogging up, learning what new is going on. And that's true with, Tua's got the same issue. He had 3 coordinators his 3 years in college.
All right, so you can see again, Gailey just does a really good job illuminating what the realities are. There's only so many plays. Once in a while you get a strange wrinkle and something new, but for the most part, it's all the same stuff. It's when you get to the line of scrimmage, you have a different language to use to call the play and then to call the play out, the assignments to the players. And the different players, they're going to have different assignments on screens that some other teams might call, or run games. It might be zone stretch versus inside zone. But the plays are all pretty much the same. So Tua has seen it all over these last 6 years. He's seen it all. What it's going to come down to is, as I said, he will make his hay on pre-snap and post-snap diagnosis and understanding. And he has assets that Jimmy G didn't. Just like Jimmy G's assets over Tua were that pre-snap and post-snap command. Now, I'll get into the assets that Tua has that I really think can be accentuated. Can be. But there's going to be a very important part, and everybody's talking about this, and this. There's one key element, and you know what I'm going to talk about. I said it all the time. So, one last bit here from Gailey. Sage wisdom, and I keep going back to Gailey because he is a guy who's been around since the 80s. He's been to 4 Super Bowls. This guy's just been around forever. And he explains things really well for fans to understand. And this is going to be McDaniel's growth too, because, somebody was saying, I would like to, I've been trying to find clarification, but I can't find that anywhere. Anybody can give me some sourcing on it? That McDaniel was calling the plays in from the booth to Shanahan, and Shanahan was just calling the plays from what McDaniel was saying. Somebody said that. I don't know if that's true. Couldn't find it. I got to go back and check the comments. Like I said, I've been under the weather in many ways, so I got to catch up my comments. He might have given me the source. But as far as I know, that he was kind of calling the concepts and bringing them down, and then Shanahan was calling direct plays. But I don't know if that's true. We got to find out. But even still, even if he's calling those plays from the booth, listen to what Gailey says about going from the booth to the field.
I wanted to ask you about your plans for Sunday. Are you going to be on the field or upstairs, and what do you see as the benefits to either one?
I've always, when I hadn't been a head coach, when I was a coordinator, I've always been upstairs. the calmness of being able to think through the next series, of being able to look at the pictures and think about things without somebody coming up to you and telling you they were open on the last play. Why don't you give me the ball? You know, all that stuff. It's great to just sit there and think about how you need to go about beating the defense the next time out. And you can spread out and just have some calmness is what I like about it.
All right. So going from that calm, climate controlled booth to the field is going to be totally different in many, many ways. There's going to be so much more stuff that needs to be handled at a very high pace. There's going to be a lot more stimuli coming in to distract, confuse, to make the job more difficult. McDaniels, if he can ace this part, then there's good things coming in the future. But the reality is he's not going to ace it from day one, okay? Is going to be a growth period. And how long that growth period is going to determine a lot. I've already said that his personality, I think, could be very successful. But can he get over that early hump? And that early hump's probably going to come. So fans are going to need to understand that there's going to be a lot of transition here, a whole new offense, new players, a lot of new staff, especially on the offensive side. McDaniels coming in, being from the booth to the heat on the ground. Now, I don't know if he's going to call plays or he's going to have the plays called in from the top, like somebody said that he was doing to Shanahan. I don't know. But however you slice it, it's going to be a period of growth. And the other thing that we got to go back to the original concept is that everything is about the players. You call plays, they're successful and not mostly because of the players. Do you call a play to support the players? Are you calling for the strengths of the players to hide their weaknesses or the converse? Now, Jimmy G's pre-snap and post-snap ability is far superior to Tua, but this is something Tua can grow in. And even if he's learned in 2020 and 2021, he doesn't know this system. You got to call like this. You got to be on your game with your verbiage. It's going to take time as well. But this is an area he can grow. It's just a matter of work. I mean, just a matter of work. And so he can meet Garoppolo in that area. Garoppolo's a little bit bigger. I think his arm might be a little bit stronger in certain areas. But Tua has two very important assets. I spoke about one, the movement skills. In a Shanahan system, movement skills are very, very critical. And this is going to be a very big piece to the puzzle, especially when you add in play action. And again, this is going to be why the running game is so critical. But Tua's release, and people say, oh, he runs RPO. He's the godfather of RPO, and everybody looks at him RPO. But one of the reasons of that is, yes, he can process, he knows who to go to, and he can read the keys and all that other stuff. But it's his release. In order to get that ball and do that fake, and then get it up quick enough to hit that slant, that takes a fast release. And I've gone over many studies of this film showing how quick his release is. And this plays a major part, especially in play action. Because when you bite on that play action, and then everyone kind of buys into it, that delay between when you get that ball up and make that read and throw that football, it allows the defenders to recover. But if you can snap that ball out of your hands, with half a second to spare, that makes the windows much larger. So boots, play action, that quick release plays a major, major part, but it's all going to come down to the running game. And I hear people saying, we got to draft a big back. We need a feature running back. It doesn't really matter if you can't block. If you can't block, it doesn't matter. I mean, unless you're drafting somebody ultra elite, you're going to need an offensive line. Now, you go look. In San Fran, they had Trent Williams, Tom Compton, who are two of the best run-blocking tackles in the game. They had Mike McGlinchey as a backup, Laken Tomlinson, Alex Mack, Kittle and Worm are two awesome blocking tight ends. Any of these guys surpass anybody on our team right now. And so, in order to run the football, there's going to be a major upgrade at the tight end position. Now, is Hunter Long going to be that guy? They spent a third-round pick on him. Is he going to be able to block? He better. You know, are they going to let Gesicki go? I don't know. Smiley's pretty good, but he's not like those guys. And there's nobody on this offensive line capable of blocking like San Fran's. So it's going to come down to how long is it going to take this offensive line to get built up, to get this running game, to drive the entire team. And on top of that, he's not going to have the same defense, which allows that running game to marinate and to build. This defense is an opportunistic defense, a smallish defense. San Fran's was a phenomenal run-stopping defense, a great front seven, not as good as our back end. But stopping another team's running game allows you that time to build your running game up. So there's a lot of things in play here. I think we have to be realistic. We have to understand what's coming into here. It's not going to be all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns because McDaniel's here and he believes in Tua and we're going to commit to the run. That's not how it works. Tua's going to have to get the verbiage down. He's going to have to manipulate the defense pre-snap. We're going to have to get an offensive line here that can run block and run the football. And then we're going to have to give McDaniel time to grow from the booth to the field, to understand his players so he can put the best product on the field with Tua. And that's going to be the reality. And that's going to be exciting. There's a lot of distance from here to there. I mean, we got free agency, the draft. So anyway, this is Curtis. I hope you enjoyed. I think we need to be grounded. Whatever if you love Ross, you don't. Greer, you love him or you don't. Flores, you love him, you don't. McDaniel, you don't. You love him, you don't. You got to love the Dolphins. So this is where we're at. Future's uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. There's all kind of stuff that could happen from here to there. But to me, getting to successful, getting McDaniel successful, no matter what happens, this is good, whether it's Ross or somebody else. So as Curtis saying, thank you for staying to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe. Comments mean the most. I've been off on my comments. It's just been really worn down. I'm going to get to them. I'm taking my time over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to put out 3 videos in the next 3 weeks or so as I get convalesce myself. Old man convalescing himself. Anyway, subscribes and likes help us with the Google overlords. Sorry, my voice is messed up. Sick all week. Google overlords are powerful. They help, but they keep our sponsors very happy and keeps us in business, and that means a lot to me. So thank you again. This is Curtis. Catch you next time. Be well. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with AcePerHead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.